Welcome to Forbidden Planet TV. I am Andrew Sumner. This is one of my favourite artists, Mr. Christian Wood, right here. How you
Hello.
how you doing, mate?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me yet again. Always a pleasure, Andrew. Always a pleasure.
And Christian, it's always a pleasure to have you on board, and it's always a pleasure to hear your latest projects get announced.
Yeah.
And I know that what we're about to talk about is a subject close to my heart and has been for my entire life, and B is something that you are extremely excited about.
Look at this face. Beaming is the word. Beaming.
So, what's the name of your new Batman project, mate?
Brrr, drum roll. My new Batman project is Batman City of Madness.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, there's many things I want to ask you about, but let's kick off by. Do you
Yeah.
want to give me a flavour of and the viewers a flavour of the concept of this book?
So this is Batman Cosmic Horror. We're going for it. And it's about there is a Gotham Below, another Gotham that exists beneath the Gotham that we know, and something old, something very evil is growing there, and Batman has to kind of discover the secrets of this city, but also discover the fact that this city has its own Batman, Batman Below, and he ascends to Gotham above, looking for his very own Robin. So, and that kicks it off, and then Batman against Batman Below, trying to save this human Robin. And I think it's a lot of fun. It's a real kind of psychological, cosmic horror, as I say. But the thing that I'm most excited about is this book is very much a pseudo sequel to the book that changed my life, Andrew. And I have a prop here to demonstrate, and it's this book. This is
There we go.
a newer edition of it, but it's for people who don't know, it's Batman Arkham Asylum, Serious House on a Serious Earth. Full title. Always give it the full title.
I agree, mate.
And
I agree.
yeah, this is I read this. I remember Batman 89, the film came out when I was
Yeah,
12. And then the following year, when I was 13, I got this for Christmas. It was published by Titan at the time.
yeah. Right on. It absolutely was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And it not I was always a big Batman fan, loved it, loved the film, obviously loved the animated
Who
series. I
doesn't? Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah, massive fan. And but this just unlocked something in me, and it was the first time that I'd seen kind of like painted artwork and kind of multimedia artwork. I mean, look at that.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah.
And it just
It's a tour de force by McKean, isn't it? It's
McKean,
unbelievable. Yeah.
absolutely. And also, by Morrison. I mean, it's just, for those that don't know, this is by Grant Morrison and Dave McKean. And it's like one of the first books that, to me, elicited not necessarily a kind of a feeling of entertainment by the story, but an emotional response. And I kind of think, that's what the book does. It's about psychology, and it's about emotion, rather than necessarily about plot or anything else. It's a real kind of visceral, emotional book. And it changed my life. It was the book that made me want to be a comic book artist, but like seriously wanted to be a comic book artist. And it was always there, wanting to do comics because of this book. Um, and it's the book I kind of revisit over and over. I mean, I reread it every year multiple times, and it's never far from my side while I'm working. And while I was working with DC, I've been very fortunate to be working for DC for a few years now. And I had an idea about 2 years ago for a story that I felt could connect to Arkham Asylum. And I put some fan art out on the social medias, and it blew up. Um, And I think at the time it was like my most popular post, and it was just like, oh, people kind of want. I mean, I didn't say
Yeah,
then it was connected to this book, but it was just this Cthulhu-like kind of Batman, who's Batman Below, this character that we're going to meet, and yeah, I just kind of like put it away. It was fan art. It was me kind of wishful thinking, and this is what I would love to do. And then I finished working on Aquaman Andromeda that I
yeah.
did with Van V.
Which is a great book and a triumph, mate. And you must be
Very
very
much.
pleased with the response to it.
Oh, hugely so. I mean, very
Yeah,
proud of the book. I mean, me and Ramin have done some. I think we went into that book trying to do something that was, similar to Arkham Asylum and Dark Knight Returns, and give Aquaman kind of like a his kind of darker take. And I think it worked. But yeah, so my editors enjoyed working with me, and as I enjoyed working with them, and they emailed me kind of as we kind of got to the end of the project, and they were like, "What's this Batman project that you've been talking about?" And of course, I had a pitch ready to go because the story's all there,
of
and
course.
I shot off the pitch, and they got greenlit. Yeah, it was brilliant. Within a few weeks, it was thumbs up. And so I started working on that the end of December last year. Wrote the whole thing. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Just been able to sort of. And the thing that's really nice is the books coming out obviously in October issue 1, October 10th. But I've been working on it since December,
yes. Wow.
and I mean,
What a way
really,
to get into Christmas by working on your own extremely dark vision of Batman.
yeah, but it's been lovely because there's not been I've kind of been setting my own deadlines, and I'm as we talk here, I'm looking over here, and I'm basically looking at the last pages of issue 2.
Yeah,
By the end of like this week, issue 2's done, and it's just I my only worry is I've peaked too soon. Like, where am I going to go after this? Because I am literally living the dream.
yeah,
I not only am I doing my Batman story in my terms. I mean, that's the other thing. DC editorial, the Black Label guys, they've been absolute stars. I mean, they've worked with me to try and make the book the best it can be. But as far as my creative choices or what I've wanted to do with the story, just go for it. And
Who,
that's been amazing.
who's the Black Label editor, Christian?
It's Chris Conroy's the head editor.
That's right. Yeah,
He edits the line,
yeah,
and then my personal editor, who's been kind of handling me directly, is a gentleman called Matthew Levine.
yeah. Right.
And he's not so much on socials, but he's the one that's kind of like working with me day in day out. But it's been brilliant. No time pressures. I've been able to kind of really just enjoy the world and just like get it as good as I can get it. I mean,
Yeah,
my whole thing for this was I wanted to do pages that I felt were kind of a level that my cover work is.
yeah. Right
So it's
on.
kind of like if you imagine my cover work, those people who might know it, this book is
Rendered in
essentially,
amazing detail. Yeah.
in color and just excitement and trying different things. And so the whole
And I
book's
guess
just
that's the Arkham Asylum inspiration, right? Which is
100%.
such a fully rendered book.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with what I wanted to do, because it was, I did want to kind of do, and I don't want to go into too much about how it's a pseudo sequel, but
Yeah.
that's for the readers to discover. But it's really cool. But I also, I didn't want to retread that book.
Yeah.
I didn't want to kind of like, I didn't want to mimic McKean's artwork because my work's not really like McKean. But I wanted to bring the same energy that McKean brought to his book to my book. It's been brilliant. Honestly, I don't think I've ever enjoyed myself on a project as
Mate,
much as I have with this.
I mean, what I love is I can see the glee and genuine excitement in your face and in your voice. And when we were talking off camera about it, it was the same thing. You really are as excited as you appear to
Oh,
be
I
on the
really am.
screen right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And which as a lover of your work and a long time lover of Batman in all his incarnations, is something that I was excited already to read the book, but you were making me wish that we got through to October right now, just so we
Yeah.
could be I could be going through the pages. And that
Oh,
sweet
well,
moment when your books turn up, with that
oh,
printed ink smell, amazing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and like kind of going to what you just said, being a lover of Batman for many years. Likewise, I mean, the thing with this, as much as it is a pseudo sequel to Arkham Asylum, it's I don't know if I'm going to get to do Batman again. I mean, I hope I will, but my view on this was this is the pinnacle of what I wanted to be. So if I never get to do Batman again, that's okay because I'm putting it all in here. So not only is it a pseudo sequel to Arkham Asylum, this is a love letter to 80 years of his life. There are references in it to the Bruce Timm's animated adventures. There's winks to that. There's winks to. I mean, the other book that I really I'm playing with is Court of Owls.
Yeah, right on. Yeah,
Scott and Greg's Court. The Court of Owls are just amazing, and they fit so beautifully into cosmic horror. So the owls are in it, and so there's references to them. There's even references, to the Jock, more contemporary artists like
yeah.
Jock, but also a real kind of book that I love that not many people know is this one. I don't believe it's in print anymore.
It's the Bernie Wrightson, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, amazing,
that's a massively underrated Batman classic.
hugely underrated.
Yeah,
It's incredible.
it really is.
So there's that as well, and just like kind of, really wanting to be like, what do I love? The Burton films, the Nolan films, Matt Reeves film, just really just, wanting to, or even Neil Adams, I looked at a lot of Neil Adams while I was working, and just wanting it to be, this is a book for everyone that I suppose my age that has loved Batman as long as me, that hopefully when you're reading it you're going to see all these Easter eggs, but that are naturally kind of flowing in a story that's pure, and I'm really proud of it. I'm really, really proud of it, and I'm excited.
Oh, mate. So am I. It's just wonderful to hear you talk about it. You might have covered this off in telling your Batman '89 anecdote, but what was your first knowing kind of exposure to Batman? When did you first encounter him?
Oh, my dad.
Yeah,
Um, my dad worked shift for good years when we were growing up, and so we wouldn't always see him because sometimes he'd work kind of like an evening shift, and he'd sleep all day. So we were like kind of ships in the night, and but the way my dad would kind of show his love was he would go home, pick up a paper on the way home for himself, but he'd pick up a comic for me. And I'd wake up in the morning and there'd be a comic on the bedside table,
yeah,
next to my bed. And it was not always, but pretty much it was Batman.
yeah,
Lots of Batman. And I always remember as a kid, I really didn't like the 60s Batman. It's only
yeah,
really now
yeah.
as an
Of
adult that
course. Yeah,
I kind of enjoy it now. But
yeah,
then I was just like, it was too silly, and I wanted the kind of the grittiness. And when the film came out, I was so excited because I literally was 12 at the time, and it was the first UK film to get a 12 certificate, which
right
meant I
on.
could go and see it. And mate, that film just like blew my mind. I don't think I've ever watched any other film as much as that film because of watching it as much as I did as a child. Just that was just, it was that, then Arkham Asylum, and it was just, that was it.
And then you get the
Fan for life.
animated show as well. Yeah,
100%.
I think it's very well said. I mean, the thing about what gets lost in the mist of time now, because everybody who's like younger than me, for example, my first exposure to Batman was the Adam West show, which was on when I was a little kid, and which I always loved and loved in parallel to the other later incarnations. But of course, I carried on loving Adam West Batman, Batman 66, when it became very unpopular, and then when Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil arced the needle back to the darker iteration, which I absolutely loved. But what a lot of people don't get now is there's a whole generation of comic book fans who, when Batman 89 came out, the Tim Burton Keaton Batman, it's like one of the big energies of that film, if you're a comics fan, was like, that's actual Batman the way it's supposed to be done. Yeah, I know it's Bruce Tim Burton's iteration of that, which is unusual, but it's the darkness of it all and the gothic nature of it all, the validation of seeing that on the screen. In a world where you've grown up with Biff, Bang, Pow, all that kind of stuff, every time people talk about comics, they'd use the idiom of Batman 66, right? For that film to exist, the job that did, in addition to being the biggest film of the year, the biggest film of the decade, the job it did to flip around what Batman was, what the Joker was, what Gotham City was to the public was really quite amazing.
Oh, it's huge.
To the point where now that's the overarching view of what Batman is now. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. No, sorry, you're just going to say you still remember that moment.
I'm 47 now, and I still remember the buzz. Like, I remember seeing family friends, like my parents' friends talking about it, and like they were like, I mean, obviously they seemed like very old people then, but obviously I realise now they would have been like, in their 30s and early 40s, but it was remarkable, and it made such an impact that I still remember that. And it's not a perfect film. I go back and watch it now.
By no means, yeah.
But it is a magical film, is what I would say. It's such a magical film.
I think that's very well said, because there's many things in it that I love. From a narrative perspective, it doesn't really make any sense. There's many. It makes no linear kind of sense as a movie, as a kind of fever dream of what Tim Burton's view of Batman is. It works extremely well. If you expect it to tell a story that makes any fucking sense, forget about it, because it doesn't. And there's magical pieces of knowledge that certain characters have at certain times, where they seem to have just gained a whole set of insight into another character in the movie. Actually, everybody should have seen it. So it's like suddenly the Joker at the end appears to know who Batman is. You know what I mean? But he hasn't for the rest of the film. There's all these moments. That make no sense at all. And it's kind of like, what I love about Tim Burton is he doesn't really care about that. He doesn't give a toss about the narrative, the Robert McKee style script of it. He doesn't care about that stuff. He just wants to put all these amazing images on the screen.
And to bring it all full circle, I mean, that's what Arkham Asylum does.
Yeah.
It's not about the narrative. Batman has to spend the night with the lunatics, narrative over. Then it's just like emotion, imagery. How do we feel? How do we respond to this? And again, it's a magical book, and so what I'm doing, I'm being quite literal with the magic, so, hopefully third time's a charm, and I'll strike just as hot. But
I'm personally certain that you will. I think you're absolutely right. Arkham Asylum, like the original Batman, is a feeling more than anything else.
Absolutely,
it's a set of visual sensations more than anything else, and that's your stock in trade, mate. I mean, that is what you excel at. In a way, all those wonderful covers that you've produced for DC over the last couple of years. What an amazing sort of rehearsal for doing this book that is. I mean, Aquaman and Andromeda is a great piece of work, don't get me wrong, but for this to be a pure iteration of you writing and illustrating as well, that stream of consciousness that's run through those covers, I can feel it when you talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's me undiluted.
Yeah. Well, no finer statement to end on than that. Christian Ward, undiluted. Bring it on. I can't wait, mate. I really can't. And I mean, I know how excited you are about it, and that is coming down the cathode ray tube and hitting me between the eyes, mate. So the book is out in October. It is available for pre-order from the links attached to this conversation. Currently, I think you'll find Christian's cover and also a Bill Sienkiewicz variant cover. Yeah. So what did it feel like getting him involved?
Oh, incredible, and he's done one for every issue. So we've got three.
Fantastic.
The one for issue 2 is my absolute favorite. Incredible.
Wonderful.
But also we've got the Martin Simmons variant for
Yes,
issue
right.
1.
Amen.
We can't forget
Right.
Martin.
No way.
You know, and the other thing that's really cool, we've done a variant. So I've got 2 covers, the main cover and a variant. And my kind of like special variant that I did for issue 1, which your viewers will be able to sort of check out. It's actually a kind of redo of the fan art that started it all. For any of
Yes.
you that
Yeah.
want to kind of have that kind of sacred imagery,
Yeah.
you can get it.
Absolutely brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. And all of that's available from the links attached to our conversation. Such a pleasure talking to you about this project, Christian. Christian, well done, Batman. There's no finer comic book outcome than that.
Well, I'm
Right
surrounded
on.
by it.
Right there. Right there. I love it, mate. Christian, it's always great to see you, brother. It really is.
Thanks, mate. All
Take
the
care.
best.
I'll see you soon.
Cheers.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.